Today, we're going to talk about something incredibly personal, and honestly, something that's so often hidden from view. We're talking about grieving for a partner who is still alive. It's a journey so many people find themselves on, but it's one we almost never, ever speak about out loud.
You know, they say that losing a partner is the most profound loss of all. But what happens when your spouse becomes chronically ill? Almost overnight, society hands you a new identity, and while it's meant to be helpful, that new label can sometimes completely erase the very real grief you're feeling.
And this leads us right to our first big idea, what we're calling the deafening silence. This is what happens when the world's focus on caregiving just swallows up the space where your own grief, your own sense of loss should be. Just think about it for a second. The moment your spouse gets sick, boom, you're a caregiver. And of course it's true, you are caring for them. But that label can become all-consuming. It doesn't tell the whole story. In fact, it often overshadows the incredibly painful process of grieving the relationship you once had, a relationship that has been changed forever. This is where that sense of loss really starts to take shape. It's in this slow, heartbreaking transformation of your relationship. You go from being partners, equals, to something entirely different.
And you can really see the difference here. On one side, you have what your relationship was built on, right? Intimacy, all those shared dreams for the future, that deep emotional connection. But then, that starts to get replaced by a new reality. Suddenly, your interactions are all about medical tasks, the logistics of just getting through the day, and their physical dependence on you. And the result of this shift? It's this deep, profound loneliness. All those dreams you shared, traveling, growing old together, even just the simple stuff, they're all put on hold, maybe forever. The intimacy gets replaced by duties that can feel almost clinical. And that emotional connection, the very foundation of your partnership, can just slowly fade away. You're living with the person you love, but the partner you knew is disappearing right before your eyes.
Experiencing this kind of loss can make you feel so confused, so isolated. And what makes it 1,000 times worse is that we don't have a common language for it. It's basically a loss without a name.
And that's the central question, isn't it? What do you even call this? How are you supposed to mourn someone you still see every single day? Someone you're taking care of? Your grief just doesn't fit into any of the neat little boxes society has for loss.
But here's the thing. There is a name for it. It's called ambiguous loss. And it just perfectly describes this devastating grief for someone who is psychologically gone, but is still physically here. The key part of this is that the loss is unclear, and it has no resolution. There's no funeral, no final goodbye that gives you closure. There's just this constant, unending state of grief. Okay, so giving it a name is a huge first step. But now let's dive into the heart of it. The complex, the contradictory, and the often totally hidden feelings that come along with this kind of grieving. At the absolute core of this experience is the deep, confusing pain of feeling widowed. Now that's a shocking thing to say, and it might even feel wrong to think it, but it's a very real, central part of ambiguous loss. You feel like you've lost your spouse, your life partner, even when they're sitting right there in the room with you. And that feeling unlocks all these other emotions that can feel, well, taboo. You might feel a fleeting moment of relief from the burden, and then be crushed by guilt, or feel this profound shame and confusion at the very thought of dating again. But it is so important to understand that these are not moral failings. They are deeply human reactions to a truly impossible situation. So why is it so incredibly important to have a name for this? Why does it matter? Because it gives you validation. It takes this experience that makes you feel so alone and confused, and it says, this is real, this is understood, and you are not going crazy. And if any of this is resonating with you, you have to know this. You are not alone, not by a long shot. This isn't some rare thing. This experience is shared by a massive, and I mean massive audience that has been largely forgotten. Millions of people are silently going through this exact process, hidden right behind that simple label of caregiver. Which leaves us with one final and really important question. If this loss is so common, if it affects so many lives, then why is the silence around it so deafening? Recognizing it, just naming it like we've done here today, that's the very first step toward finally breaking that silence.